I've been putting this one off for some time now, but today is finally the day. Don't go away. Hello everybody and welcome to Fat Guy Productions. I am Paul, coming to you as always from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. Today's build isn't the most challenging one of all time, but it's a kid paint car, and that always spells fun. So, let's get this one going. So I have had this dilapidated Matchbox Unimog in the bullpen for some time now, but for reasons unbeknownst to me, I have just never called it to the mound. Today, the Unimog gets the nod, and in no small part because it's a kid paint car, and you all know how much I love doing kid paints. Whatever little boy or girl painted this decided it needed to be red and green and very Christmassy, of which I am not a big fan of on my Matchbox cars. But I have a policy to try to stick as much to the vision of the kid as possible, so I'm going to try and make it work. To get it apart, I just need to drill out the two small rivets, and then we can go ahead and break this thing down. With a little help from my flathead screwdriver, I can go ahead and pop the base off, and I know in the videos it always looks like it just comes apart so easy for us, but that's because I edit out about like 17 hours of footage of me struggling to get these damn things apart. After getting the car apart, we can see the component pieces. We can also see the true blue color underneath the green paint. It's funny, as I stated, I hate the green and red combo, and yet it just seems to be a favorite on kid paint cars. It's hard to get past the Christmas color thing. Anyhow, I have to push forward, and I'm going to be very happy to drop this body into the warm liquid goo, and then I can go ahead and turn my attention to the base. This build is going to be a custom, so I don't need the wheels and axles, but I still want to get them off before stripping the base because I can use them for some other project. I'll take my rotary tool and grind off the ends of the axles and save those parts for another day. Relieved of the burden of the axles, the base can now join the body in the warm liquid goo. After lunch, I came back and pulled the parts from the goo. I use Citrus Strip, if you didn't already know. 1, because it's readily available. 2, because it's not harsh smelling. And 3, it actually does a damn fine job. So, now that I have the parts out of the goo, I can run them to the sink, give them a good washing. I'm back from the sink, and I can go ahead and dry everything up. And then I can go ahead and start brushing the parts down with my brass bristle brush. I find that the brass bristle brush will handle most of the little bits of paint that haven't come off yet. Every now and then it doesn't get everything, but for the most part it does a great job, so I pretty much do it on every build I do. This particular casting was a little bit grumpy and had lots of nooks and crannies, so I did need to turn to a dental pick to get off the really stubborn specks of paint. Now I'm going to steal an idea from my friend Lee. I'm going to clean up the post to make putting the car back together easier. Oddly enough, or stupidly enough, even though I'm working on the posts here, I am somehow going to forget to drill and tap them. Honestly, I've had a ton on my mind this week, so I guess it can be excused. This build is going to get an opaque paint job, so I really don't have to go in for a bunch of polishing. I just need to get it clean, and then I can head off to the paint booth. At the paint booth, I coat the base and body with some Tamiya Fine Primer, and then set them aside to dry while I get the paint ready. As much as I hate the red and green combo, I do need to stay true to the vision of the kid who painted this. So I have a plan in mind. I'm going to start off with some Tamiya X5 green, and I'm going to darken it with some gloss black, and that should tamp down that Santa vibe. I'll thin the paint down with a few drops of leveling thinner, and then take it the rest of the way with some Tamiya X20, and then I can go ahead and start to lay it down on the body. As always, I'll start with my tack coat, then some intermediate coats, and then once I'm happy with where I'm at, then I'll lay down some nice, heavy, wet coats to make this thing really smooth and shiny. For the base, I'm just going to use straight gloss red paint. The truck will still be green over red, but it'll feel more woodsy and less Christmassy because of the darker green paint. Now that everything is painted and dry, I can go ahead and finish it all up with a great coat of clear coat from the Redline Shop. You know how I feel about my clear coat. It wasn't until after everything was painted and dried that I realized I forgot to drill and tap the post, so I'm just going to go ahead and tackle it now. Once done, I can move on to the glass. The glass was in pretty good shape, but had a few spots of the green kid paint on it. So I tried something different and took my X-Acto knife and tried to just scrape them off, and it actually worked out great. I was super happy. I got the paint off and didn't really mar up the window at all. Once the paint specks were gone, I just buffed the glass up a little with a paper towel, and then I broke out the gauzy. After the glass took its bath and was nestled away safely in the onion saver, I could turn my attention to the super easy task of the new wheels. The wheels really were a no-brainer. I had a great set of off-road tires with a red bead lock on them, and they were just going to be perfect for this build. To make things even better, the axle slid right through the spots on the base, and the tires popped right on. Perfect fit, and even better look. I've decided to paint the wood planks that are cast into the bed. So I first paint them with some tan Vallejo paint, and then I let that dry. You've seen it before. This is my primary lighted visor, and I love this thing. There is a link for it in my description. Once the paint's on, I give this a little bit of a clean up with just the moistened end of a Q-tip and a toothpick, and make sure I don't have any paint where I don't want it. Now to make it really look like wood. It's dry, so I pull out some brown panel liner from Tamiya and I flood the wood areas with it. Once I've done that, I use a Q-tip and I wick away any excess and then just set it aside to dry. This gives a lot of detail and gives the wood a really great realistic feel. everything is looking great, and I can start popping this sucker back together. I'll use an original tire for the spare. Then I can go ahead and drop the glass back into the cab. And then I can put it all back together with 2 button head screws. Now just a little bit of detail painting for the headlights, and I can call this one done. I'm totally loving this build, and I hope the unknown kid would love it too. Well, there you have it, my version of the Kid Paint Matchbox Unimog. I love it, and I really think the dark green makes this build a success, and I hope you all agree. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, click subscribe, and please don't forget to click the bell so you'll be notified anytime I release a new video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I love to hear from you guys. It's really the highlight of my day. Well, that's it for now. I hope you can push through all of the obstacles in your way, forge ahead, and have a great and happy day. Until next time, this is Paul from Fat Guy Productions, saying be good.